Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Inman InStudio. I'm Lauren Walker, and I'm really excited today because one of the things that we like to do is make sure that everybody in the real estate industry has the right information. And we've been seeing a lot of misinformation going around, and there's some questions, and people are thinking the wrong things, and especially indie brokerages are kind of up against it when it comes to technology. So we wanted to sit down with an expert to help us bust some myths, if you will. And so, big welcome to Sarah Fisher, Director of Marketing at Property Page.
Yay.
Sarah, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I love busting myths.
I know, right? Well, you're the perfect person to do it. You've got a strong tech background, you work for a tech company. And so you must feel the same way we do is you see the kind of these independent brokerages struggling and making choices based on the wrong information. And if only we could get in front of them and help straighten things out.
Yep.
Great. Well, let's do it. We've
All
got
right.
some very specific things that we looked at based on we always base this on what our audience is looking at. What articles are they reading? What are they posting? What are they commenting on? So, this isn't coming out of nowhere. These are
Mhm.
real issues that we see at play. So let's get started. One of the first things is a fear of this idea of a platform. People throw that word around that a platform is a big scary thing. And so I was wondering if could talk a little bit about what it means to be a platform and why there's this negative connotation to it.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this a little bit the other day because I had written a blog post like a few years back about just kind of like, can we stop saying platform like it's a dirty word?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
literally. And so some of the things that would come up a lot was like, oh, well, wouldn't it just be better to build it in-house? Or, well, why would I get a platform if I can just build my perfect crafted tech stack myself? Um, and like data security, privacy things like that. But now, sort of this year, you've seen a flip on its head, I think, starting like, well, the end of last year, where now it's like this huge trending topic where everybody is like, wants a platform. And there was that great Inman article recently about kind of the arms race of the big players to get to that end-to-end platform. So I think all those reasons that were negatives before have actually turned into the positives of the platform. So like it's really difficult to build in-house. It's expensive. You may not have the resources. You don't have the experience that people who've been doing it for a long time have. Um, People are sort of getting over the data security privacy thing because they've learned to ask the right questions of their vendors and make sure that there's things in place. Um, and people are just sort of realizing that a mismatch of tools that don't speak to each other is really not, even if you can craft your perfect mix, they might not all play nice together. And so you might have all these tools that you love, but it's not really helping you because you don't centralize anything. So that's sort of where we're at. And we've been preaching the platform thing for a while.
Sure.
Um, Obviously, because we've believed in and that's what we're trying to build, but also it's the dream. Like you want to get all these things plugged in, all your data into one centralized place. And once that happens, anything is possible. I mean, your agents, your team, they're all in one system.
Hmm.
There's one login to log into, not seven. And then you can really get, like, as a brokerage owner, that full visibility reporting. So that's like something that hasn't existed for a long time is like, okay, I have all these leads come in and I might know their sources.
Right.
Maybe one's from Zillow, maybe one's a website lead, maybe one's a marketing campaign, but you've never been able to like full scope track it, kind of like a closed loop reporting, tying it back to ROI. And the only way to do that is to connect all the pieces, your transaction data, your lead data, and so that only comes with a full platform. So I think people are getting it now a little bit more, but it's something we believe in strongly. Just everything under one roof, connected, speaking to each.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's great because one of the questions I was going to ask was, what do you mean when you say platform? But I think you really explained that nicely, that it's pieces that work together that provide a whole picture.
Right.
That's what you mean when you say platform,
Yes, and
right?
so I think it's important to also define because there's these like buzzwords, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's software, there's platform, and there's tech stack. which I said all
That's
those
the
things.
other buzzword is tech stack.
And
And
so like,
I feel like
yeah,
people use them interchangeably,
yes.
and I don't think that's right.
I'll tell you what I think. I'll
Okay,
give you
yeah.
my little feedback right here. So software is a software, right? So we have a software in this as a service. It's in the cloud. We can make updates and push it. It's the platform you're using is your software, right?
Yeah.
Not to use platform again. So like Facebook is a software, but Facebook is also a platform. And so the platform piece is the component where you are a launching pad for all of these other connected things, right? So other third-party vendors, other apps could plug in. You have an open API, and you can all talk and share data. So to me, that's what a platform is. So you got the software, which is the actual, like, I can do my emails and I can get my contacts, but then plugging in all of these other pieces that connect is the platform. And then your tech stack, obviously is your full mix of all your choices of tech.
Got it. And that can range from exactly what you were saying, is from the email, client that you use on your
Yep.
phone, to your CRM, to all these other pieces
Yes.
that you're
Yeah.
using.
Mhm.
That's a tech stack. The things you use every day
Right.
is your tech stack.
Yep. It's your
Got
mix.
it.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that to me is that that's used as something of a recruiting tool, for
Mhm.
these indie brokers saying, hey, we have the best tech stack. We have all these tools that you can use. And I feel like that's another thing that's kind of getting in their own way, for these brokers. What do you,
I cringe a little
yeah.
when I hear this because it's like it's the race for the shiny pennies, It's like agents all want the shiny pennies. But, you can get all the shiny pennies of these little one-off tech tools and you might attract agents. Yeah, that
Mhm.
might get them in the door, but it's not going to keep them because to me that's just unsustainable. They're not all going to talk, guaranteed. Um, you're not going to be able to train and support all of these disparate tools. So to me, it just sounds like you're not going to really be able to support it on the level to drive success and adoption anyway.
Mm.
So you really just should, less is more. Like focus on the ones they can really get value out of and that you can connect and go with that and support them as hard as you can, with trainings, with automated drip training, whatever it is. Cause I think the shiny pennies look good, but they don't keep anybody.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's a critical point, is that you can have all the tech tools you want, but if you're not set up to train your agents to
Right.
use them, adoption is huge. There's
Yeah.
no point having a Lamborghini in the garage if you don't know how to drive, you know.
Right. Yeah.
There's
We've
just
actually recently launched, like we've done a real focus on customer support and how we can improve it and get like more adoption among our clients. So we recently released like kind of these self-driven video trainings that can complement our onboarding so people can learn on their own time. And we're trying to just sort of systemize the whole thing.
mhm,
But what I love is when our clients do the same thing. We love to do that for our clients, but I've seen our clients do really creative things using our system and our automation to train their agents, which I love. Like we had one client that I think had a 32 touch email drip that was a training, and each week the new agent gets like one new piece of tech they need to learn, and it's a simple, just bite-sized email that's auto sent out, so it's not a huge burden to the brokerage or the marketing team.
mhm.
Um, but it's just those type of things. You just have to, take a little bit of time to get them in place, and then they can just sort of run on their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
32. That's amazing.
I know.
Well, one of the other things that's going on all
Mhm.
over the industry is this fight between, we're going to build our own or we're going to bring it in house. And right now, it seems like the tone is, if you don't build your own, it's risky. It's risky to work with a third party. You better have it in house. I mean, you guys are a third party, so of course this is. But what are you seeing? How do you counter that conversation?
Yeah. Um, So I'll just start with us first, and then I'll segue to like why I don't think it's as risky as people say. So, we're completely independent. We're not owned by a larger real estate company. So we're not in competition with any of the brokerages that might come on to us. We're US based. We have very sure data privacy ownership laws written into our contract. So if you leave, you take your data with you. If your brokerage model changes, you do what you want with your data. So that's first. And I think that's an important question to ask any tech provider or vendor or all-in-one platform that you're signing up with, is like, you got to know what about those things.
Mm,
Um, but on the other hand, and I don't want to throw shade at anybody building these end-to-end mammoth platforms in-house, like some of the big players are doing, we're hearing
yeah.
a lot about. Um, to me, it's just unsustainable, to use that word again. So you might build something, but I just feel like it will never catch up or be at the level of a dedicated software company that's been doing it for 10, 15 years, who's
Mm,
been continuously developing with an ear to the ground, listening to the industry, building features based on client feedback. Like, to get to that level, you're already just playing so much catch up. And then even if you do build something amazing and put all your time and resources into it and you get that done and maybe you did catch up, it's like it's the second half of it that I can't
yeah.
see happening. It's the how do you then continuously innovate and develop this product, because it will get old and tired if you don't.
Mhm.
And how do you support it? How do you support bug fixes? How do you have a complete support, training, onboarding plan team? I mean, it's a huge, like, this is an entire company doing this. So I just don't know how. I think it's difficult. People have to ask themselves the hard question: am I a real estate professional or am I a tech developer? And I don't know that you can be both. And I just think I would encourage the indie brokerages, like, focus on what you do best, which is sell real estate,
Mhm.
and leave the professionals who have been doing this, who are only focused on doing this well, and just plug into that. It's like you're benefiting from all the regular updates that they release constantly. So you don't have to worry about, am I a leader in tech in my market? It's just things that you will not have time for.
That makes a lot of sense. And it makes me think of this other idea of who is the SaaS company, that you're getting into bed with essentially. And how do you establish a relationship of trust when you don't even know who's on the other end of
Yeah.
that solution? I think that's a real threat for these indie brokers. They're worried that they're going to get abandoned. That their
Yeah.
solution providers are going to get purchased, they're going to get acquired. I mean, there's a lot of M&A happening right now.
Hmm.
So they have a little bit of fear and trepidation. Like, before I invest in this relationship, I don't know who this company is.
Yeah. I mean, you just obviously have to do your due diligence and ask the questions up front, which I do. I've seen a change in that. People are really coming to the table, like in our sales calls and everything, much more prepared and asking
Wow.
really detailed questions about these things and kind of keeping us on our toes. But that's good, because
Yeah.
we don't want to be in a situation where someone feels like they made a bad decision or they're regretting it or they are worried about what's next. We want to have full transparency with our clients. So I'd rather have our sales team answering that up front, open and honestly. So that's my first thing I'd say, is just make sure you ask all the questions. And then the next thing is just really ask about kind of their support and training, and if they're really a partner.
Mhm.
Because it's one thing to be in the cloud and provide awesome software, but if you don't speak to your clients and don't hear their feedback and don't train them and or do any of that, then it's all kind of for naught. So we appreciate that very acutely here, because we know that agents need a lot of hand holding.
Mm.
So we not only try to make the platform user friendly, but we do on-site trainings when we need to. We'll do it. Just ask these questions of your tech vendor, like, will you do on-site trainings? What if I need to do some custom development for my website? Are you gonna upcharge me for every little thing I need to do? These are just, some of the questions you have to just
Well, I
outline
was
to
gonna
the
ask
agent.
you, could you share some of those questions? Because that would really help, our viewers come away with something like, okay, here I'm empowered with information, so what else should they be thinking about when they talk
Yeah.
to them?
So obviously I mentioned, ask about what their training process is. Ask about if there's any hidden charges, especially as it relates to web development.
Mm.
Um, ask about their integration partners. Do they have an open API? Who can they already have a close relationship and partner with? And, what are the possibilities for one of your specific tools you have? Ask about your specific tools. Um, Ask about MLSs. This is a big one. So managing the MLS streams into a website is a full-time gig in and of
Absolutely.
itself. And so when you're dealing with nationwide MLSs across the board, I mean, so you got to ask and just make sure they have your MLSs already set up. Is there a cost if they have to go and get it for you?
Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, onboarding time frame,
Yes.
and who's accountable for what. Because a lot of times you might launch this and just think, oh, my tech partner is just going to do everything for me and it's magically going to happen. But there needs to be a little bit of a come to Jesus moment about what you're responsible for and who you're dedicating on your team to manage the process. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Let me think. What else?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be 10 really, really
Okay,
good specific
good.
questions that anybody can sit who's talking to a tech vendor. And the fact
Yeah.
that you're already keeping track of and being ready for those questions, I think is really, really empowering.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what this is about, right? We want indie brokers to be empowered and excited by technology. We don't want them
Mhm.
to be handcuffed or hobbled by some of these misconceptions, that we
Yeah.
talked about today. So let
And I
me
also,
ask,
oh
yeah,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I was gonna just finish because as you were speaking, it made me think of that, like
great.
the handcuff thing. Um, I don't think any brokerages should feel like, oh, I buy this thing and I'm stuck. I think that is an important question to ask is like, how can I make this my own brand and how can it evolve as we grow and scale? So that's a big one. We really encourage like, yes, sure, that we might have website templates that you can choose to use if you want to onboard quickly, but how much of your brand can you bring into it? And these are questions that you might still want to ask.
Those are great. Yeah. This is what are the terms, and what
Yep.
happens when we grow or what
Yep.
happens when we shift markets,
Mhm.
everything. I
How
mean,
flexible is the software? How flexible is, the website? How flexible is the back office? Yeah.
got it. Got it. That's great. All those questions put more power in the corner of the brokerage, and let them feel like they can come to the table and have an informed conversation because
Yep.
they don't have to know the answers. They just have
No.
to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Yeah.
really reframes it for them. So great. Well, looking into the coming year,
Hmm.
it's so hard to make predictions.
Oh God.
But what's Property Base's vision? What are you guys excited about? What are you kind of keeping an eye on? And what do you think indie brokers need to be thinking about?
Mm. I mean, we really are, you know, fully on board pushing the all-in-one platform.
Mhm.
So we sort of Property Base came to be from the merger of kind of four respective leaders in their space. So we had Boston Logic, which was websites, Back Agent, which was back office, Property Base, which was CRM, and Bold Leads, which was lead gen. And so we all came together, kind of like the best of the best, and we really want to build this full scale platform. So you will have a tool if a brokerage comes with to us. You will have a tool from that first lead that comes in the door, and even before with the lead gen, and a tool to follow it all the way through to the transaction, and then beyond with kind of analytics and that closed loop reporting I was talking about earlier. So that's what we're pushing for. I mean, we're just getting constantly evolving the platform to get that working exactly where we want it to be so everyone can reap the full benefits of it. And that's the dream, like that full search to sold platform. Um, and then, like as always, we're just focused on trying to be part of the conversation, getting out. We have a lot of events lined up for 2020. Um, the industry is really in a state of flux. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. So there's, we got iBuyers, we got tons of private investment coming in. We have all of these mergers that you were talking about and buyouts. And so we're just trying to stay in the conversation and ahead of the conversation and bring back where we can to our platform and to our clients. Um, yeah. And what was the last part of the question was?
I think what would you like to see
Mhm.
indie brokers thinking about? I mean, that's a great way to kind of segue into that. Your vision is that search to
Yeah.
sold. What should indie brokers be thinking about as they're, measuring their options?
Yeah, I think I just want for indie brokers to kind of like lose the fear around tech. I mean, they've come a long way, but I still feel that it's hard for them to bite off the vision,
Mm.
and I still feel a lot of them get kind of sucked down the rabbit hole of just getting all these one-off tech pieces. And I hope for 2020 people can learn to sort of consolidate their tech or at least make sure what they have is connected and data sharing. Um, and I feel like it's a bright shiny new year.
Yes.
um, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like the big players building these end-to-end platforms in-house, I think you'll see a surge in indie brokerages kind of buying into it now because they see like, oh, okay, this is like really a thing that's happening now,
Yes.
and I kind of have to lose the fear around it. So
Well, that's great. I mean, you've empowered so many of our viewers already just with, knowledge of what to ask, when to ask it, and how to think about, their tech stack, their platform.
yep,
Don't
yep.
just throw those buzzwords around. Know what you mean, know what you want, and know what you need.
Yeah, and I also think like you get that tech stack going, you're creating this awesome ecosystem for your whole team that feels like you, it feels like your brand. It's not your provider software, it's then your software, and you own it, and it makes you look good, and it makes you, you're going to kill it in your market.
That's great. That's fabulous. Well, we're going to have a link to Property Base in the description of our video, so people
Great.
can go learn more about your platform and about your program and your solutions. So this has been really, really helpful, Sarah. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, have a fantastic day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.